Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to this new class. This is Entrepreneurship 3. I'm Miss Tania Poveda. Let's start. Remember that it's very important you save the information on your computer. But more important than that is that you remember the information, okay? Because you are working already on a business plan and the information we are checking here, everything we are studying, it's very important. You know it since the beginning, so you can apply it in your project right now and obviously in the future. Okay? So save this on the computer and save this on your head. And let's continue. Well, you already worked on the analyzing of your client profile. We also check a little bit about desk research. It's something we studied last year. So now we're going to review a little bit about field research. So talking about desk research, remember that desk, it's called like that because it's an investigation you can do sitting on a chair by a desk using a computer or a cell phone. So you can get information online, or maybe you can get information from books or newspapers, okay? But now, the one we're going to review now, it's about field research. And field research is the research you do in the field, in other words, in the place. So this one is going to be more in touch with the possible clients. It's going to be face-to-face or at least in contact with the market. So some of the characteristics we have in a field research is that you can get qualitative information. So you use, for example, qualitative interviews. You also have some case studies. You have observation of the participants, or maybe direct observation. It depends on the market, again, because remember that when we investigate the market and we know the client profile, as you are doing right now, you have to choose the best investigation technique. You cannot use any investigation in any market. No. You have to choose the best one according to your market. So here we have 6 examples that we check. We talked about this a few days ago. And these are some of the investigation techniques, the most popular ones, the most useful too. Okay? And these are the investigation techniques that we can use in the field. It means you're going to be in contact with the market. You're going to talk to people or be in touch with people in some way. It can be face-to-face, it can be on a paper, it can be mailing, it can be online, etc. What it is important is to understand that when we investigate the market on a field research, it means the second stage, these are the techniques we may use. You got it? Yes? Well, this is review number 2, as we have to continue. And we're going to talk about, or to review about a sample. A sample. And what is a sample in a market research? Well, here we can read that it's a group of people taken from a larger population for measurement. The sample should be representative of the population to ensure that we can generalize the needs of one or wants from the population. So let's say that we're talking about, for example, doctors in Guayaquil. So we get information, we go on a desk research and we investigate how many doctors are there in Guayaquil. So probably 10,000 doctors in Guayaquil. So that's your whole population, but you cannot investigate, not deeply, 10,000 doctors, 10,000 people. So what you do is that you take a sample that represents the population, the whole amount of doctors, for example. And according to a formula that you can use, you can know what's the best number for your sample. As I already explained this, I look for a video that explains maybe better about the sample thing. It's not too complicated. It's only about numbers. It's a formula. You replace each letter or number according to each letter with the numbers that you know, your population, your margin of error, etc. But let's watch this better, okay? So please pay attention and remember, you can take notes, you can pause the video, and if you have any doubt about numbers, please ask your mathematics teacher. Now you can ask me too, okay? So enjoy this other explanation about a sample. I repeat, this is only a review about sample. Let's watch.
I suppose the key with sampling is to understand its purpose in research. Let's say, for example, we're trying to sell a product to people in the UK, big population out there. We'd really like to know more about what that population is about, what they're looking for, our target audience. And in an ideal world, we'd ask them all, do some research with them all, but of course, it's not practical. So what you have to do is you have to take a sample, a small group from the target population, do some work and some research with the sample, and then hope that your research findings from the sample are representative of the overall population. So that's what we mean by sampling in marketing research. It's the gathering of research data, qualitative data, quantitative data, but from a sample of respondents, and you hope that if you draw the sample in the right way, the results are representative of the overall population, or, for example, the target market as a whole. Now, in A-level business, you're not going to be required to do lots of calculations of samples. I mean, statistical sampling is a whole discipline on its own. But what you do need to have is just an awareness of some of the issues, some of the benefits and drawbacks of sampling. So it'd be worth pausing this slide for a minute or two and maybe jotting a couple of these things down into your notes. Starting with the benefits of sampling. Well, clearly, if the population is large, sampling is a necessary activity, isn't it? You can't practically gain research from a very large population. So in many ways, it's an essential part, sampling of research, but it's also pretty flexible, relatively quick to do, depending on the size of the sample. And a good benefit, an important benefit of sampling is that it reduces the risk. Take some samples, do some focus groups from a sample of your target population to identify what the response of potential customers is to new products, rather than trying to launch them or to make a guess about what the population as a whole think. The drawbacks to sampling are perhaps more important, and this is often a key evaluation point, particularly for any business decision that's based on research that involves sampling. Firstly, it's possible that the sample that you pick, isn't representative of the population. That's the risk with sampling. If you don't use the right method or an appropriate method, then you are looking at a sample that bears no resemblance to the population as a whole. Secondly, depending on which methods of research you use, there is the risk of bias in your research questions to the sample, which you might then apply to the whole population. And I think another drawback of sampling is that in markets and industries where consumer tastes and preferences, needs and wants are changing rapidly, you may draw a sample 1 month, but actually things have changed so quickly that the following month the same sample or a different sample might give you a different answer. So there's always a drawback, as is the case with all research. There's always a potential disadvantage that your research becomes out of date. There we go. Hopefully that's useful. That's just a 3 or 4 minute introduction there to the role of sampling in marketing research.
Okay, so it's good to listen a different voice, right? Besides mine. So basically, what he did was explaining about sample or sampling, and it's something that you already know. So I'm pretty happy with this. If you want to watch this video again, you can go here to this link. This is going to be in your Educai in this PowerPoint presentation. So in case you can watch that video again, you only click this link here. Okay? So knowing about sample, remember that you have a target market, so you are going to work focusing on that target market, right? Choosing the right amount of people and the best investigation technique, and then talking to them and investigating, etc., etc. Right? So here is the formula you can use. You should replace each letter with the right number about population, about the margin of error, etc. And in case you want, you can also do it online if you want something fast, like the business plan that you're working right now. Okay, so I recommend you to go to this link. It's like an automatic calculator about the sample. Okay, so you can play a little bit with the numbers and get your most representative sample of your whole population for your product. Remember, product can be goods or can be a service. Okay, so now let's review about survey one last time. As we can see here in the picture, apparently it's an electronic survey. So let's remember that a survey is an investigation technique. What I like about this definition here is that it says that it's a descriptive research that is used to determine the opinions of a specific population. Yes, I like this word descriptive because this one, it's going to give you a better description of your market. As you know, we use surveys or any investigation techniques to collect information, to gather information from the market. Basically, surveys are methods of data collection in which information is gathered through oral or written questioning. Okay? And pay attention on this last part, the one that says oral or written questioning, because do you remember we have types of surveys? Do you remember how many we studied last time? Yes, 4, you're right. And they were written and oral. I'm going to show you in a minute. But first, let's remember that when talking about surveys, we have types of questions. And those questions can be closed or they can be open. As we can see here in the picture on the left, on the orange chart, we have closed questions versus open questions. And on the right, we have this chart that I like a lot because purple is my favorite color, and this one has purple on it. Okay, so if we read on the left, we have this green color here. These are going to be the characteristics of open questions, as we can see here, green and green. And on the right, we have, on purple, closed questions, the characteristics. So we're going to read one on one. Green for open, purple for closed. So what happened here is that open questions should be answered with long responses. It's open, so you can say whatever you want. While closed questions should be answered with short responses, usually yes or no. Next, we have that open questions, they are going to have answers that often describe and explain. Often. So people write and explain something, but on closed questions, answers are often short and factual. Factual means that you can prove them. They exist. Like the example I told you about this last time, that what are the colors of the Ecuadorian flag? That's a fact. So you don't give much explanation. You don't say much. You say, okay, these are the colors, that's it. It's a question that starts with a W question, like what? But the answer is short and factual. Okay, then next. So we have in open questions, they begin with words like how, why, explain, describe. and any other W question. Who, when, where, etc. And pay attention on this. Usually they begin with W, but for example, how it doesn't begin with a W, but it has a W, so it's considered a W question. While closed questions here on the right are questions that begins with words like is or are, would, do, what, like what are the colors of the Ecuadorian flag. It starts with W, but the answer is short and factual. What else? Will, etc. So basically they start with auxiliaries or with verb to be. So obviously the answers are going to be yes or no. Okay, good. Here on the left, on open questions, we have essay questions. It means you write an essay. You write as much as you want. Sentences, paragraphs, whatever you want because it's open. But when they are closed, most of the time you're going to have multiple choices. So they're going to give you different options about the question. And here on the left, finally, we have something that is kind of obvious. When it's an open question, you're going to have long answers, and it's going to take you longer time. While closed questions can usually be answered quickly, so they're not going to take you like a lot of time. So these are some differences that we probably knew before, maybe with a different explanation, but it's something that we studied before. Remember, this is our review or summary. Well, I like this. So what is or what are the objective of closed and open questions? When they are closed, which I like better actually, because they don't take too much time. The main objective of closed questions is to confirm facts, clear up confusion, or narrow the focus. It is that you, as an investigator, already have some information that you probably found on your desk research, and then you use closed questions to confirm what you think. So in that case, it's to confirm information. While open questions, you know, they are longer, you explain, you write, you say what you want. The main objective is to get facts, so you know what people really want or like, to get feelings and perspectives. It's a qualitative investigation, so you get people's opinions. And you also have speculative questions to be thought-provoking, good for creative potential. So when questions are open, they can be objective, subjective, or speculative, while closed questions are mostly objective questions. Okay, so if you read these questions here, take a few seconds to read them. Okay, good. You probably finished reading. What kind of questions are these? Open or closed? Very good. They are open questions. And as you can see in the picture, probably they are electronic because it has the option send. Okay, and obviously here, probably without reading or without reading too much, pay attention on them a few seconds. What kind of questions are these? Open or closed? It's kind of obvious, right? Yes, they are closed questions. But what I like about this is that here on the left, you have questions that you can write your answer, like, do you have symptoms? Right now, everybody's talking about COVID-19, so probably one question will be like, do you have symptoms of COVID-19? So the answer is yes or no, that's it. That's it. So that's why it's closed. Even you can write your answer, it's closed because it's only two options. Have you ever been tested for any TB or COVID-19 or any other disease? Have you ever been tested for it? Again, yes or no. There's not much to explain. Only two possible answers. In the middle, you probably remember this, we have rating scale, which is a closed-ended question. Because even you choose the scale you feel like you are or you want, it's a number and it's an option, so it's closed. And finally, on the right, your favorite one, multiple choices. So it's easy, you only press 1 or 2 or the answers they ask you to, and then submit, and that's it. Well, and to finish, you told me before that you remember, or I think you told me at least, that you remember how many types of surveys are there. Probably there are more, but the four that we've been checking is this. Mail or postal survey, which is basically on paper, as we can see here on the picture. And what they do is that they send you a paper, maybe when you buy something in Amazon, they send you a document, a paper with a survey. And what you can do next is that you answer the survey and then you send it back using regular postal office, using regular mail. The one we don't use anymore, by the way, or not too often. Well, now, the second one, well, the order is not important, but next, we have online survey. So you are probably more connected with this one because it's really common right now that you have a survey on your cell phone or on your computer or on your email. So you have options to write or to choose, and then what happens is that you press submit or continue or save or any option, making the survey or making the investigator to know that you finished with your online survey. So right now we have mail survey and online survey. And do you remember that before I told you that it's a oral or written way to get information? Well, when we have a face-to-face survey, two things may happen. One is that you give your target person or target market the paper and the person fulfill the paper in front of you, or you ask the person and you complete it in front of this person. So in that case, will be like oral investigation. This is known as face-to-face survey. And finally, obviously this one is oral. You're probably writing something on a computer or probably you are recording the survey. And this one is telephone survey. So you probably know it better when you call any public service like water service or electricity or maybe your cell phone. And they ask you like, please complete the survey in the end, and they give you 2 or 3 questions. You press 1, 2, 3 according to what they want, right? So this one is telephone survey. Good. So these are the 4 ones, the 4 types of surveys: mail, online, face-to-face, and telephone survey. Got it? Please check this information as many times as you need. I'm very happy you remember most of the things that we studied here. It's very important you know them very well to finish your business plan, but especially to use in the future when you work, when you want to start your own business, so you can do a very good market research. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you have a wonderful week. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.